To watch the previous episode of Magic Hair Salon, check the description box below. Madam Hindeola uses her magic to transform hair into something beyond ordinary beauty. But when twins visit her salon, one curious, the other nervous, they quickly realize that the magic comes at a steep price. Stay tuned for more intrigue as the secrets of her salon unravel. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Do not forget to drop a comment, like, and share this video. Now back to the story. Could she be dead? Madam Hindeola, he cried. You'll pay for this. No, his mother said weakly, her voice barely a whisper. Go to Mama Anjiola. Mama Anjiola. Chidi repeated, confused and desperate, his face wet with tears. Quickly, and with that, his mother, too, went silent. Mummy, he cried, shaking her, but she didn't respond. Mama Anjiola, Chidi whispered, looking around, deep in thought. His mother had mentioned her, so there must be something Mama Anjiola could do. But how could a bean farmer help him? Without another thought, he dashed out of the house toward her place. It was dark outside. Their mother never let them go out at night, so this was unusual for him. He found a motorbike taxi, told the rider where he was headed and climbed on. When he arrived, Mama Anjiola was just about to close her shed. Mama Anjiola! Chidi shouted, jumping off the bike. Please help me, Mama, please. It's my mother. Mama Anjiola muttered to herself, I knew it was only a matter of time, but Chidi heard her. Mama Anjiola, he cried again. Come inside, she said, leading him in. Mama, I'm not here to buy beans, Chidi said impatiently. My mother, my sister, they need help. My mother specifically asked for you. Whatever I can do here, I don't need to go there, she replied calmly. But we must hurry if we're to save at least one. Chidi shivered at her words but pushed his fear aside. She hadn't even heard why he'd come, yet she seemed to know everything. Sit, she commanded. From a small purse, she emptied peculiar items onto the floor, a hyena's molar, a goat's premolar, a vulture's beak, and a lion's claw. She began chanting softly, making Chidi even more impatient. I warned her, Mama Anjiola said suddenly, beginning a tale. Mama, I didn't come for stories. Please, I'm begging you, come to my house. My mother said you know something, Chidi interrupted. Patience, she replied. To understand what to do now, we must look back at the past. Chidi listened reluctantly. From the day Tarier and Kihinde were born, they competed in everything. Their mother, rest her soul, died bringing them into this world, and their father, he took his life when he heard his wife was gone. Gone? Just like that? Chidi asked, stunned. Mama Anjiola sighed. Yes, child. Life can be cruel. Tarier and Kihinde grew up together, mirroring each other in every way. If one sang, the other's voice echoed. If one danced, the other's feet moved in perfect harmony. But then, she paused, as though watching their childhood unfold again. But then what, Mama? Chidi pressed. Then Chukwuemeka came, she said, shaking her head. He approached Tarier first, wanting to woo her. But she wasn't interested in his tribe, so she asked him for time to make up her mind. Before Tarier could even make up her mind, Chukwuemeka slithered to Kihinde. And Kihinde, she accepted him, but kept it secret. A secret wrapped in shame because little did she know that Chukwuemeka still wanted Tarier. A trickster that he was. So, said Chidi as his sense of urgency disappeared completely as Mama wove her tale. He was with both of them? At the same time? Exactly, answered Mama Anjiola, shaking her head. He played them like drums in a festival. Tarier, after she'd made up her mind, came to him later and accepted his offer. But she, too, wanted it kept secret. Mama smiled bitterly. They both carried his secrets, but soon they would carry something more. They got pregnant, said Chidi indifferently. Kihinde found herself with child first. She wanted Chukwuemeka to meet the people she called family, but do you know what he said? He said his parents would never accept a Yoruba woman. And that's when he showed his true face. He became abusive, called her names, denied the unborn children. Kihinde was so hurt, but she accepted her fate. She promised to raise the children alone. But then, the worst happened. What happened? Asked Chidi impatiently. Tarie presented Chukwuemeka as her husband. The same man who rejected Kihinde because of her tribe. Such a dishonest man. She sighed, her hands shaking slightly as she recalled the memory. Kihinde said or did nothing. Oh, but the pain grew inside her, together with her babies. Chidi. It was like a fire in her bones. She came to me, asking for help to destroy the pain. And what did you tell her, Mama? Asked Chidi. Mama smiled sadly. I told her, feed on your pain, my child. Make something wonderful from it. She sighed deeply, her voice trailing off into a whisper. But I had no idea what she planned to do with my advice. What did she do? After Tarie's wedding, Kihinde went to their house. She accused Tarie of stealing Chukwuemeka. Tarie was shocked, but when Chukwuemeka admitted it, she was crushed. Kihinde, in her fury, stabbed him right there and vowed to ruin anything that tied her to him. Chidi shook his head in disbelief, but Mama nodded affirmatively. Kihinde disappeared with the knife and came to me, her eyes wild with a vengeance. She didn't want to be sisters with Tarie anymore. Said if Tarie ever interfered with her life again, she would bring nothing but misery and death on her. And Tarie? Asked Chidi. What happened to her? Tarie. Oh, Tarie came to me as well, but not for revenge on her sister. She came in labor. The stress had already sent her to the edge. Right here, in this very hut, she gave birth to her twins. She sighed, shaking her head. But Kihinde? Kihinde vanished with the blood-dripping knife, thanking me for the advice to feed on her pain, and I never saw her again. Not for a long time. And when she returned? Asked Chidi. When Kihinde returned, she claimed she lost the babies. No one knew the truth. But she returned, not as the broken girl who had left, but as a woman transformed. She opened the most successful salon Ararawemi had ever seen. A beauty from the ashes of her pain. Mama, said Chidi, his voice barely a whisper. Mama. Chidera and I. We are Tarie's twins, aren't we? Sighing deeply, her voice suddenly distant, Mama said, if you want to save them, you must go to Kihinde's salon disguised as a girl. Kihinde must not recognize you. Ask her to do your hair, and when she does, use the comb your mother uses. Comb Kihinde's hair 5 times. She must not be aware of you doing this. 5 times. Asked a confused Chidi. But how do I do that without her noticing? It was as though Mama suddenly realized how stupid and impossible that was. She picked up the items, muttered some words, and threw them on the floor again. She shook her head after a moment. That, my son, is what the spirits have told me. I cannot give you more. How can we lift the curse on my mother and Chidera? Chidi asked. It will only be lifted if Kihinde forgives Tarie, replied Mama Anjiola. Chidi felt a pang of pain in his chest as he absorbed the weight of her words. Then, dreading the answer, he asked, did she give away the twins? Mama Anjiola didn't respond, her face shadowed with sorrow. In that silence, Chidi understood the painful truth. As darkness set in, Chidi rushed home, his heart thumping with fear. He was fortunate to find a motorbike taxi to take him back home. When he finally arrived, the sight inside made his stomach twist. His mother lay unconscious, her hands swollen with huge boils. His sister, Chidera, lay beside her, her head distorted with the same grotesque swellings. This is my fault, Chidi thought, guilt gripping him. If only he hadn't pushed his mother to take on that woman's hair. Now the curse was spreading through his family. He hoped Madam Hindeola was suffering too, though he knew that wouldn't save his mother or sister. Mama Anjiola's words echoed in his mind. He had to comb Madam Hindeola's hair 5 times without her noticing. But how could he manage that? Morning arrived slowly. As he prepared to confront Madam Hindeola, He tied Chidera's lucky scarf around his head. His mother still lay motionless, her hands covered in boils, while Chidera rested beside her, swollen and suffering. He whispered a prayer, feeling the weight of uncertainty and fear. Outside, the festival was already stirring to life. Girls with beautifully braided hair headed toward the school grounds for the hair competition. Madam Hindeola, who styled most of their hair, wouldn't want to miss it. Chidi hurried to her salon, clutching his mother's comb wrapped in paper, determined not to fail. At Madam Hindeola's door, he knocked. The closed sign swung slightly as if someone had just touched it. Madam Hindeola opened the door, her eyes flashing with irritation. "I'm closed. The festival is about to start, and I need to go win my prize," she said confidently. She had already won twice before and was sure of victory this time too. Chidi's gaze fell to her hands, hidden in gloves that looked oddly lumpy. The curse had reached her too, he realized. Mama Anjiola's words were true. "Please, madam," he begged, his voice trembling. "Can you do my hair? Just this once." "Leave. I'm late for the festival," she snapped, pushing past him. But before she could lock up, Chidi blurted out, "Madam, you styled my sister's hair yesterday. She was supposed to compete, but the hair was too tight, and now she's unconscious. I need you to do mine so I can take her place." Her golden award comb fell to the floor as she bent to pick it up, wincing as her bruised boils brushed against it. She hesitated, confusion flickering in her eyes. "Fine," she muttered, dragging him inside and locking the door. "Just make it quick." Chidi followed her through the salon to the main room, where he noticed familiar plants, aloe vera, scent leaves, miracle leaves, bitter leaves, decorating the space. The walls held paintings of bald women with intricate hairstyles, many appearing in twin pairs. One face even looked like a bald Chidera. "Sit," Madam Hindeola commanded, motioning to a chair. Chidi sat down, his heart pounding as he noticed two clay mannequins in front of him, one wigged, the other bald. Their eye sockets were empty, and the empty holes seemed to go deeper and deeper with no sign of an end. "Now, untie your hair." As Chidi untied his hair, Madam Hindeola went behind him. "I hope you don't mind if I remove my wig," she told him, and immediately, like a light bulb that has just been turned on, it dawned on him what Mama Anjiola meant. He looked back to see her about removing her wig. He turned back immediately, his heart racing. All Mama Anjiola had said the spirits told her made sense now. That was the hair, of course. That is what he had to comb 5 times. He would have to distract her or steal it and just run. He was so happy now. As his mind raced, without warning, Madam Hindeola burst into her song again. "My hands will weave a magic flare. When I'm done, all will stop and stare. Men will chase, and women too, for the beauty that my hands bring true. Once your hair's in my embrace, you'll shine with style and endless grace. So put your trust in me, my dears, and I'll make you shine beyond your peers." As she sang, her wig now off, the mannequins began to sing with her, their once empty eyes now glowing with life. A strange pull overwhelmed Chidi, and suddenly he was engulfed in a whirlwind and sucked into the eye sockets, landing hard in a mysterious realm. All around him were strange girls. One group wore rich wrappers and crowns. Another group, chained, was styling the crowned girl's hair. He saw one of the girls he knew and recognized. "Raelia," he called out, running toward her. But she didn't respond. Panic gripped him as he realized that many of the girls were faces he saw in school and the village. Ifema, with her annoying younger brother. Nafisa, the one all the boys liked. Tematope, the girl with body odor. Aidnike, Ifeinwa, Bisi, Chinini, Ifediora, and many others. All these girls that had changed for the worse after they started looking prettier with their new hairstyles. If they are here, then who are the girls back in the village? He wondered, fear creeping into his heart. Suddenly, a voice broke through the chaos. "Chidi, what are you doing here?" He turned to see Chidera, but she was barely visible, a pale light flickering before him. "Chidera, what's going on?" He stammered. "You don't have time," she said urgently. They'll come and put you in chains too, and you'll be doomed to serve these spirits forever. Why are you not in chains? He asked, confusion washing over him. No one can see me, she replied, a hint of sadness in her voice. I don't know why. I arrived here right after I got my hair done. I heard you scream in the salon, then you fell, and the next moment, I found myself here. As they spoke, Chidi noticed Chidera becoming more defined, like the other girls, almost solidifying before his eyes. Then, chains appeared around her hands, just like the others. Instantly, chains manifested on Chidi's hands as well, but they broke off immediately as they appeared, only to reappear and break off again. It wasn't long before both of them caught the attention of others around them. Man! Screamed one of the rich girls in a crown, and the others echoed, chanting, Man, man, man. The chains on Chidi's hands kept reforming and breaking, and then, suddenly, something pulled him away from Chidera, separating them. Chidera screamed as her body turned pale again, just as it had been before, and her chains dissolved, taking her back to her previous state. Help me! Chidera cried, but Chidi was pulled farther away, upward, until he vanished from sight. He found himself thrown back into his body in Madam Hindeola's shop. Check out our other stories on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We upload new videos every week. Please subscribe, like, comment and share. It really helps us to grow and inspire us to work harder to produce quality stories for you guys.